News where you live. 5 News starts with breaking news.
That breaking news here at 5, a manhunt continues for a former police chief with ties to Northwest Arkansas who escaped from prison. It's been now 24 hours since Grant Harden escaped from the North Central Unit in Calico Rock, Arkansas. Here's a look at Harden, who is serving a 30-year prison term for first-degree murder and an additional 50-year sentence for rape. The Department of Corrections says Harden disguised himself and was wearing a makeshift outfit designed to mimic law enforcement when he escaped. Authorities say he should be considered armed and dangerous. 5 News reporter Jacob Luthi is the only local reporter in Calico Rock covering this tonight. He is live now with the latest on this active search. Jacob?
Yeah, Darren, scenes like the one you see behind me are scattered all throughout Izard County. We have come across multiple checkpoints with police officers asking us questions, looking through our cars, looking for any sign of Grant Harden after he escaped from prison on Sunday. Now, today, authorities have used the daylight today to try to aid in their search. Those efforts include these checkpoints that I just mentioned, searching with drones as well as K-9 units. Local, state, and federal law enforcement are all on the ground. The Arkansas Department of Corrections says Harden escaped Sunday afternoon through a sally port, an access point where vehicles can be driven into the prison. They say he was wearing a makeshift outfit that is not standard inmate or Department of Corrections gear. And given his violent history, Rand Champion with ADC tells me that crews are using every tool at their disposal to find Harden.
The more time that he goes without being found, the more time he has to go a little bit further distance, and it forces our teams to kind of expand out. Now that the rain is letting off, that's probably going to increase our search area a while, just because we're not going to have that hindrance. But the search continues. Hopefully with the rain being let up, we can start implementing a little bit more of the tactics that we weren't able to use.
Again, authorities say that Harden should be considered armed and dangerous, and if someone comes across him, they should not approach, but instead call police. Darren?
All right, Jacob, thanks. Meanwhile, the Benton County Sheriff's Office says Harden has strong local ties, and agencies around the area are on high alert tonight. 5 News reporter Morgan Wrigley takes a closer look at his past and criminal history.
Grant Harden has a history in law enforcement, once serving as a police chief, constable, and correctional officer. But his connection to Benton County took a much darker turn years ago. Here's a look back at his criminal history. Harden was first arrested in 2017, accused of killing 59-year-old James Appleton, a man he'd crossed paths with through city government. Investigators say Harden pulled up beside Appleton on a rural road near Garfield, shot him in the head, and sped off. Police later found physical evidence in Harden's vehicle tying him to the crime. Harden pleaded guilty to first-degree murder and was sentenced to 30 years in prison. At the time, Benton County prosecuting attorney Nathan Smith told 5 News the motive was unclear.
There is no doubt that Grant Harden murdered James Appleton in cold blood. There is no doubt that that happened. I think the why of it happened, only Grant knows that, and he lacked the courage to say it.
But 2 years later, while already serving time, Harden confessed to another crime, a cold case rape from 1997. The victim, a Rogers school teacher, was preparing her classroom when Harden attacked her at gunpoint, raping her in the bathroom and again in the classroom. At the time, investigators didn't know who the suspect was, but saved DNA samples and issued a John Doe warrant. When Harden was convicted for Appleton's murder, his DNA was entered into the system and matched.
Best course for us to take on this was to obtain a warrant based on the suspect's DNA profile. They were running into a lot of problems prosecuting rape suspects after the state statute of limitations, so they started getting these John Doe DNA warrants to keep the case alive.
Harden pleaded guilty to 2 counts of rape in 2019 and received a 50-year sentence on top of his existing prison term. Harden was also a police officer with the Eureka Springs Police Department. He resigned in 1996 after being warned he would be fired for lying in a police report. According to Benton County records, Hardin served 2 terms as constable for District 1 between 2009 and 2014. In January 2016, Hardin was hired as police chief for Gateway. He resigned a few months later. He later worked as a correctional officer at the Northwest Arkansas Community Correction Center in Fayetteville. Morgan Wrigley, 5 News.